Hi guys, and welcome to Seiko Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Phoibos Leviathan of 40mm. This is the 2024 version. Model number is PY050. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. It's not going to sway my review one way or another. You're going to get my honest opinion on this channel every single time. And if you want to pick this watch up at the end of this review, down in the video description, there will be a link down there. That's not an affiliate link or anything like that. It just takes you right to the Phoibos website. Pick your color and check out. The retail price for this watch is $315 US. I believe it's also 315 euros. And that's before any taxes, sales, coupons, VAT, etc. If you're watching this video before March 1st, 2024, then you can use the promo code EB63 for $63 off the price. So that'll bring it down to $252 US, which in my opinion is a heck of a deal for a watch like this. The watch comes in 5 different colorways that you can see here on screen. All of them seem to have a very fine texture to the dial, and all of them are a non-glossy dial. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, a screw-down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So this watch has been released today. Don't get it confused with the previous version. The previous version was, I believe, like a 44mm diver, so this one is a much more manageable size. And I think you're really going to have to move quick on this one. These are going to probably sell out pretty fast. It's typical with Phoibos. Their first waves, when they include that early bird special, they usually go pretty quick. So you're going to have to act pretty fast, especially at $252 or something like that. I think that's a great price for this watch. So if you're in the mood for an angular and aggressive looking diver that's not going to break the bank, this one should definitely be on your radar, I think. So let's find out if it's any good. But before we do, doing a quick wrist check as always. Wearing the San Martin SN0115, I believe. I just reviewed this one. I'll leave the link up there for that one. Really been enjoying this one. Completely different than this watch, though. Alright, so first things first, as always, we'll do the dimensions. A bezel diameter of 39.9 millimeters, a case thickness of 12.7 millimeters. We got 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 48 millimeters, total length of 53 millimeters. And sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist with 3 links removed. It weighs 162 grams. So I really do think they nailed the size on this thing. 40 millimeters, 12.7 millimeters thick. Does have a nice angle down to the lugs there, so I think it hugs the wrist nicely. Lots and lots of different angles on this thing. It does appear more chunky than it really is. 12.7 for a diver is not bad at all. But visually it appears a little bit thicker. I think it's just because of all those angles and flat sides. But yeah, I really do like the way that this watch wears. Even the 53 lug to lug with the male end links it's really not that bad. So yeah, I think it does wear pretty good. I'm gonna go outside right now, throw it on my wrist for you. Here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and I mean, you can tell this is kind of a chunky dive watch. It's not overly large, but it just wears a little chunky just due to the shape of it and the overall dimensions. But I still think it wears pretty good, and the legibility on this thing is second to none. It is excellent. Really, really cool. I just love this black against the white. Yeah, really, really nice with that pop of red. I think it looks excellent. But yeah, I mean, this thing just looks really good, guys. And popping out into some direct sunlight here, you can see still, I mean, legibility is just really good. Sorry about the fingerprints, but plenty of air coating on this thing. Really easy to read. I've got zero complaints with it. The bracelet and the case, all the little chamfers and angles, really play with the light nicely. Gives a really interesting look to it. So I'm very happy with the way this thing wears. There's the down the wrist shot there. Decent little turn down to those lugs as well. Like I said, it is a little chunky, but if you're going for that look, this thing is just perfect. Let's go throw down some straps and we'll get back to this review. And here we are on a black rubber strap from Strapsco. I think that looks pretty good. You know, a black rubber strap on a dive watch like this is always going to look good. I'm just still kind of blown away by the legibility on this thing. The white dial with the black hands, black indices, super easy to read. Absolutely love it. And there's direct sunlight again. And I mean, it just looks great. Looks really good. And here we are on a Marine National elastic strap, black with a white stripe. I think that looks pretty cool. It is a little bit of a tight fit for those in between the lugs and the case there, but This one was able to fit pretty good. So, and the last strap didn't hit the case either. So it should be fine, I think, for most straps, as long as they're fairly thin. I threw a little bit of color at it. This is a Cincy Strapco SF2 double pass. You can see 2 layers underneath the watch. They're thin layers, but it's still looking pretty nice on rest, in my opinion. And this is a pretty nice, comfy combination, in my opinion, too. These straps are quickly becoming some of my favorite ones. I got more on the way. So yeah, really happy with those. If you like them, go check them out. Cincy Strapco. But yeah, that's it for this strap show. Let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. So case finishing is done very nicely. You can see here lots and lots of little angles there. It is a fully brushed case, and getting up close you can see the brushing on this is very nicely done, very consistent. You get a vertical brushing on the sides of the case, which normally I'm not a fan of, but I think it just works on this. Maybe it's because it's so angular. So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job on that. You get I guess a vertical brushing on all the other surfaces, but it's almost like a stealth jet. You know, you got all these little angles on it. I think it looks really, really good. Flipping it to the crown here, you can see you got your signed crown with the Phoibos octopus. Really nice big crown. I really do like that crown. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But flipping it to the case back here, you can see it's a mostly brushed case back. You do have this kind of bead blasted backdrop to the octopus there, but really nicely done. It's super smooth. You got simple notches there to get a tool in there if you ever need to get at the NH35. Simple spec sheet around the outside, back filled with black paint. It all looks really good. It's all very soft. Even this bottom edge, as angular as this case is, this bottom edge is actually pretty soft and pretty rounded off. So it's a very comfortable watch to wear, and I'm overall very satisfied with the case finishing on this thing. It's really cool. All right, let's talk about the bezel on this thing. We'll start off with the bezel insert. The bezel insert is a matte ceramic insert. Simple engravings for all the numerals here. I do like the font that they chose. It's very blocky, kind of fits with the style of the watch. Those are all filled with BGW9, so really happy with that. We'll get to a full Lume shot here in a little bit. But yeah, really, really nicely done on the bezel insert. The matte finish looks great. Most of the time it looks black, as you can see right there. But when you do get it in some bright lighting, it has almost a gray tint to it. So just something to note. I think it looks really good. The bezel itself, solid stainless steel. You can see here it's got scalloping. And then it kind of has the smooth parts here at the 12, 3, 6, and 9. Again, looks really good. You would think that this smooth area here would kind of lose your grip, but honestly, it really doesn't. It's a fully brushed bezel, so you still have plenty of grip there. Obviously, getting on the knurling there or the scalping, you get a little bit more grip, but I'm really happy with the bezel on this thing. It is very solid. There's no play in it. There's no bounce. There's no wobble. I mean, I'm really gripping this thing, trying to move it, and it's not going anywhere. So, yeah, really happy with that. I think the resistance is good. The resistance is even all the way around. It sounds good. It's a 120 click. It's kind of like a deep thunking click. Really, really quality sounding. Yeah, I have zero complaints with the bezel on this thing. It's really good. Now let's talk about the crystal. First things first, we will test it for sapphire. It is positive for sapphire. So it is a flat piece of sapphire crystal. They claim it has 3 layers of anti-reflective coating on the underside. I definitely believe it. Really nice and clear AR. Keeps the dial nice and legible. I've got zero complaints with it. It doesn't really sit above the bezel insert at all. So it's going to be nice and protected. You know, being a flat crystal, reflections are not really an issue to begin with, and then they throw some good AR on it. Yeah, it's a really good crystal. I got no issues with it at all. All right, so let's zoom in. Let's talk about this dial. The dial on this and all models are very similar. It's a non-glossy, and you can see there's a very slight texture to the dial. It's not really noticeable in person. Maybe, I mean, I guess it is, but it really just kind of vanishes. You don't really see it, but you get a nice crisp white on this model. I think it looks fantastic. You got a black printed minute track around the outside with big markings there at all the 5-minute increments. I think it looks good. It's nicely centered in there. The rehout on this thing, fairly shallow for an NH35. It could be better, but really I'm not concerned about that with a watch like this. You have nicely applied batons at all the hour markers except 3 o'clock, which has a nice frame around the date window there, and the 12 o'clock, which is kind of this trapezoidal shape. Again, I think it looks really good. They are matte black. They match perfectly with the hands, as you can see there. So there's like a texture to the markings, a texture to the hands. I think it looks fantastic. The legibility on this watch is amazing. If you guys know me, I love legibility in watches. And this thing is just, I mean, it's right up there at the top. It's amazing. Really, really nicely done. I think the handset that they chose on it, really nice and big and bold. The seconds hand there, I guess it could be a little bit thicker, but it doesn't bother me at all. It is loomed as well. Kind of have a little red tip to that second hand there. So very happy with the dial on this thing. I like the logo. I know some people are not a fan of the logo, but I like the logo. A little pop of red there with the automatic as well. And like I said, this is loomed with BGW9 loom, so a nice crisp white loom during the daytime, and then at nighttime I'm going to pop up a loom shot here. You can see it. It's that ice blue loom, really crisp looking, very even. You know, usually on a watch like this in this price range, something begins to fade before the other parts. You know, whether it's the dial that fades before the bezel, something starts to fade. In this model, everything fades at the same time. I mean, it is really impressive loom, you know, even against these other two watches, which are very good. This one holds its own, beats them out. I'm a big fan of the loom on this watch. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement is the Seiko NH35. If you guys aren't aware, it's great. It's reliable, it's accurate, it's easy to work on, it's cheap. Perfect for a watch like this. It's rugged as well. Yeah, no issues with the movement in this thing. This one has been running excellent for me, plus 5 seconds, and a great beat error. So I believe they are regulating these movements. Yeah, I haven't had a Phoibos that's been really bad as far as accuracy goes. So I do think that they are regulating these things, at least to some extent. So I'm happy to see that. Happy with the movement in general. It functions and acts exactly like you would expect it to. It's operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown, again signed with that logo. Nice big crown. It's tucked in there, tucked into these crown guards really nicely, but still plenty of access to it. It's nice and smooth on the screw in and screw out action. Very happy with that. Nice solid pop out. The crown itself is nice and solid as well. So first position is your hand winding. Feels exactly like it should. Actually a little bit smoother than most NH35s for some reason. Again, really, really good. Pull it out to the first position. Get your quick set date there. The date is nicely framed, nicely centered in that window. It looks really good. Pulling it out to the third position hacks your movement. This is where you set your time. Everything functions as it should. Alignment spot on. Yeah, no issues with this. It acts just like I would expect it to. And the screw in action, it is one of those crowns where you're winding the movement while you're screwing it in, but it's still really, really, really smooth. It picks up those threads immediately. I got no complaints with the movement on this thing. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So bracelet is pretty nice as well. Just continuing with the nice solid quality of this watch. It is a fully brushed bracelet, as you can see here. Kind of has some angles on it as well, just to give it a little bit of light play as it's on your wrist there. But really, really happy with it. 3 solid links, solid end links. They are male end links, which some people are going to complain about. You know, for me, it's not a big deal. If you have a little bit larger wrist, it's not a big deal. It does taper from 20 millimeters down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. Everything is nicely done, nicely machined, nice and soft. I don't have any links that kind of hang up on each other, so it's a very smooth and fluid bracelet. You have screw pins for adjusting. Like I said earlier, I removed 3 for my 7.5-inch wrist. You got your Phoibos signed clasp here. Pretty simple clasp. I'm not a huge fan of the clasp. For a watch like this is chunky. This feels a little bit light and a little bit, I don't want to say cheap, but they definitely could have beefed this up a little bit. It's just a pressed outer shell here. And the thing I really don't like about it, this safety latch here is nice and solid. That's not like flopping around or anything like that, but it doesn't have the button pushers here. So it's just a friction fit, which not the greatest feel. I know that they just re-released this watch, the Wavemaster, and this one they upgraded the clasp to an on-the-fly clasp. So hopefully, you know, soon they will have an on-the-fly clasp for this watch as well. As it is, though, it's a fully functioning clasp. I've got no major complaints with it, other than the fact that it's just a little thin feeling here. Fully milled on the inside with nice tight tolerances. 4 levels of micro adjust there, so I was able to get a really good fit. Obviously, like I said, no on-the-fly adjustment or anything like that, and this is just a stamped piece of metal, so it doesn't feel great when the rest of the watch is so solid feeling. That would be my main complaint with the watch in general, and you can probably swap this clasp out pretty easily. But yeah, the clasp functions perfectly fine. I think it's finished just fine as well. Brushing on all the surfaces here, yeah, flows with the watch. The end links. The end links flow with the case as well. No complaints with that. Nice and solid, nice and tight. The spring bars are nice and solid as well. Yeah, it's a pretty good bracelet. Kind of let down a little bit by this clasp. If I was buying this watch, I would definitely try and find something that would work here instead of this one. But yeah, very happy with the bracelet in general. You know, the tolerances are a little loose, but really not that bad. It is a very comfortable bracelet. I like the way that it kind of plays in the light, as you can see here. It looks really good. And it kind of flows with the rest of the watch being very angular. So they chose a pretty good bracelet on this one. So there you go, guys. That is the Phoibos Leviathan 2024 version, available today. Go get it now, $252 for an original design watch, NH35, killer lume, great bezel, definitely a serviceable bracelet. You know, the clasp is really my only letdown in this watch. Everything else, it's really, really good, guys. And I think you're going to be pretty happy with it. So go down in the video description, check out the link, check out the colors. And I think you're going to like the watch when you get it. It's really good. And Phoibos, they've always been very good to me as far as, you know, reaching out to me, customer service, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a great overall experience. Phoibos has been around for a long time. They're going to be around for a little bit longer as well, too. So, yeah, go check them out, guys. I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.